Hey y'all, it's Amanda with Molly Cole Creations. I am excited to be participating in an open collaboration hosted by OK at Home DIY Crafting with JC and Connie's Woodshop and DIYs. This collaboration is all about wood. It is called What Would You Make? What I am starting off with is just a piece of wood, and I put the measurements out there for you. It measures 8 by 7.5. We are making a double-sided wood frame, rather a wood framed sign. So we are going to get that painted in white. We are going to frame the pieces in black, and voila, we are done with that. Those pieces that I'm using for the frame are just a 1x2 furring strip, and you can tell they're scrap pieces because they were originally painted red. I was going to use them for something else. Now I have cut the word fall in letters with my laser cutter, and I'm going to do the word hello with a stamp set. The stamp set comes from IOD, Iron Orchid Designs. I think it's the typesetting font or typesetting set. It's a really great set. I will link it. If that's not what it's called, I apologize. You can find IOD everywhere. You can look them up and find a local stockist. I get all of mine from Jamie Ray Vintage. They are local here. They are also on YouTube and do ship. Now I am just painting out these letters in a red color. That's Imperial by Folk Art. The orange is Pumpkin by Waverly. This yellow is also by Waverly, and I am down to like seeds and stems on this yellow and that green color you see there. I'm even using like a straw to mix it up because I was using sponges to sponge it on, so I didn't want to get out a brush. I didn't have any little stir sticks handy, so I just kind of squeezed some water in there, mixed it up, just trying to use the last of what I have left. Now I am just going to line everything up. These letters, the stamp set only comes with one of each letter, so I'm just going to kind of place them out and leave room for the extra L. And then I am using just black ink and getting these stamps applied. Now the stamps nor the wood letters are necessary if that isn't something you have available to you. You could do this with vinyl. You could do this with stickers. You could do this with, you could create a stencil with your Cricut, which if you ever have watched any of my other videos, you know I love to do. And in fact, the rest of this video is full of stenciling. I just thought this could be a fun way to kind of change things up, add a few different elements to my projects. So, and I do love this font that this stamp comes in, so I do enjoy using it when I can. This is permanent ink, so you can seal it afterward, but it's more important that you seal the paint. And this is going to be inside, so it's really not, a big deal. But if you were concerned about it, this is permanent. And so I am just cleaning off the little areas that the ink got on, making sure not to stamp what I don't want to stamp, and keeping my little ruler square thingy straight so that these stamps come off straight, and it actually turns out really good. So I'm pretty pleased with it. And then we are just going to take some Surebond thick, I believe is the glue that I'm using, and it's just a very strong super glue. So we're going to line our fall, F-A-L-L, up and get these laid out as well. Just applying a very, very thin line of glue. This font is pretty fun. I like to do a lot of signs. Did a big wood round last year with this font for fall. So I'm just kind of condensing it into this little scrap piece. And I think it turns out really, really cute. I then decided that I wanted to do like a little comma. Now, this particular set of stamps doesn't come with punctuation, so I'm just using a little piece of that A to kind of make our own comma. And now we are moving on to the other side. This is kind of just a little bonus project for Halloween. I can't wait for Halloween, y'all. I love Halloween. So we can make this just double-sided, double duty, flip it over. This sign can hang, or it can just be kind of a shelf sitter. I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do. Now again, you could even do this with cardstock. You could do this with vinyl. You could stencil it on. You don't need to do it with laser cut. I just did it with laser cut wood. So I've cut out the word October, then I cut out 31, and I cut out like a cute little spider with it was supposed to have a little wood piece that like the spider was hanging, but it was too thin and it broke. So I'm going to paint on the little web, I guess, that the spider is hanging from off of the 3. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. So we have got that painted with our pumpkin orange by Waverly. We've got that painted by the Folk Art in black, and there is our cute little spider. And oh my, that's adorable. I don't think I show it yet. I didn't. I just used a teeny tiny little detail brush and barely dipped my paint in the black and just dragged it down to make that line. You could use like even a paint marker or something. But I don't have the steadiest of hand. My hand shakes, but it was just pretty easy to do. So I'm just going to get everything glued on once again with that same Surebond thick glue, and then we will get our frame attached. I did recruit my very handsome husband's help for this part of it. I couldn't hold the frame on and shoot the nails in, so you may see 3 or 4 hands in this because he is helping me get it lined up, and we are just using brad nails to attach this frame. Is super easy and super secure and much easier with 2 people, I'll say that. And that is is going to be just about it for this one. But I love that it is double-sided and that it can be left out and it's not just a one-time use. And look how cute, y'all. I'm just going to touch a little bit of that up. And I am going to seal this one because that black paint, I don't want it to scuff up and show that red. And there we are. Hello, fall. And our cute Halloween one. We are going to move on. Project 2. This is another scrap piece of wood. It measures 12 inches. This is a it's a 2x4. We're going to paint it white. Voila. It is white. And I have already cut and weeded a stencil that says Pumpkin Farm. And I am just stenciling that on. Now, this wood was a bit rough. And it had a few knots in it, as you can see. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but you'll be able to tell when I pull off the stencil. It had knots on it on both sides. So it was kind of hard to decide which side to use. Right there at... Well, you'll be able to see it here in a minute. I do have to do a little bit of touch-up. This wasn't a perfect stencil job, unfortunately. And also, I think my brush was a little bit too saturated from the previous project. But it's right there with, like, between the I and the N. And there's a knot there, so there really wasn't any, like, getting around it. And on the other side, it was just as apparent. So, anyhow, we're just doing the best that we can with it, and I'm just taking a tiny little detail brush and trying to touch up the best that I can. Now I'm pulling out some Spanish moss. Now at first I thought I was going to I found these tiny little wood pumpkins at the Dollar Tree in a pack that I actually bought specifically for this project, but they were just way too small. So I kind of decided in the end not to use them. But I did get my hot glue gun out, and we're going to glue on some chunks of this Spanish moss. And I also, my daughter and I were in Target the other day buying her some shoes, some new school shoes. And Target had a pack of like 5 pumpkins and like some pine cones. And so I just happened to grab them, just thinking I could use them as just whatever fillers wherever. But I ended up deciding to use them for this. But I didn't want them to be orange. So I am painting them with that same apothecary paint. It's by DIY. I used it before on the fall sign. I don't think I called it what it is though, but it is called apothecary. It's DIY paint. Also, I get that all DIY products I also purchase from Jamie Ray Vintage. So we are just going to kind of line this little block of wood up with our painted pumpkins, and we are going to make ourselves a little pumpkin farm. It's actually like totally adorable and very simple, and look how cute. I absolutely love it. That one was a quick one. So we are on to project number 3 and kind of like 3.5. These are also double-sided. They are wood tags, door tags. I cut these out of pine. I cut them out of a 1x6, but a 1x6 is actually not 6 inches. I cut them 14 inches long, and I did 45-degree angles at the top. We are going to make these double-sided, like I said. So we are doing one side in white and Waverly wax, and the other side will be in white and black. We are starting with the fall. Now, this is going to be a process. We are painting this in buffalo check or buffalo plaid, however you want to call it. So we're starting out with a strip of paint straight down the middle. And then that little piece of tape is kind of a spacer. And then we're going to do another strip of tape from the top to the bottom, trying to get it as straight as we can. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to pull off that spacer, place it on the other side of the middle strip, and do the same thing. Now we are going to pull out our gray paint. This gray paint happens to be Rust-Oleum. It's chalk paint. But you could really use whatever gray paint you like, or mix up some black and white and make gray. Either way. But that is what I have, and so that is what I am going to use. So we're going to fill in those stripes. That's how we get started with our buffalo check or buffalo plaid. There are a lot of videos on YouTube. In fact, that's how I learned to paint the buffalo check. So if you want something more thorough and detailed, definitely just do a search on YouTube, and you can probably watch someone who is a little bit more thorough about teaching it than I am. But I am going to do my best to show you here how I do it. Now, after we finish those first stripes, we are going to turn our tag the other way. And then we are going to find the center. Like I said, it's 14 inches. So I'm just grabbing my little tape measure here so that I can find the exact center. And we are going to start with tape going down the opposite direction. And I'm reusing the tape because y'all know I don't like to waste. So yeah, I'm reusing that tape. You betcha. So I'm placing that first piece, and then once again I am going to use a spacer and then do the exact same process going down the one side and the other, using that same spacing as we did with the other stripes, going up and down with it the other direction, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense if you're watching. And then that is going to give us our squares. We are going to continue with the gray paint. So this gets another coat of the gray for this step. Okay, so at this point we are going to leave the tape on, and then you can kind of see even through the camera, there's some lighter areas and some darker areas. And the lighter areas are where we need to basically repaint. So we are going to reapply the tape where we had it the first time, if that makes any sense. And you can kind of tell where that was, especially when you start at the middle, because we know we had a piece of tape straight down that middle, and I'm not sure how well the camera is pulling that through the screen to you, but you can kind of tell. And that's where these last pieces of tape need to go before we will be finished. Now this is all going to get a coat of black. So I'm going to pull out my folk art in the, I think it's dark black. I don't remember. I'll have to link it for you, but anyways, it is chalk paint. So we are going to get this stenciled, stippled on here, just kind of trying not to get too much paint on my brush, trying to avoid too many bleeds, although I have painted this pattern before and you are bound to get some here and there. But we are going to do our best to avoid having too many. But touching up is okay, and we can manage. Before it really even fully dries, I'm going to start pulling it off and revealing how well we did. And I'm pleased to say we did pretty good. I do want to add that if you don't want to go to the trouble of painting this, you could most definitely grab some tissue paper or wrapping paper, or even cut these tags down to 12" and use a scrapbook paper and just decoupage or Mod Podge them on. I just really like paint. I know it will last a long time if I seal it. I can't say the same for paper or tissue paper, particularly if these are going to go outside. But that is definitely an option if you're not interested in going to the trouble of painting the buffalo check on. Now, this is the other side of, well, it's not the other side, it's the other part of our fall tags. I have already cut and weeded the vinyl stencil, and it just says Fall Vibes, and I was just showing you I am going to add a little leaf when we're done, but we are going to stencil the Fall Vibes in the white Waverly and get this applied, and then we will add the little leaf with a coat of orange. Just peeling that back, and yes ma'am, it looks pretty good. We need to get our Cricut tool and peel off those little inner pieces of our letters and make sure that we don't smear. One thing about stenciling on stain, and this isn't even stain, this is the Waverly wax, it's a lot harder to do touch-ups, so you do want to be very careful in how much paint you have on your brush specifically. I did run into a couple of things in this video because I kept using the same brushes over and over, and that's what you get for being lazy. Clean out your brushes or use some new ones. Don't be lazy like me, because I did run into a little bit of stenciling trouble because my brushes, and I was using sponge brushes too because that's how cheap I am, and they just got oversaturated. But anyhow, we're not quite there yet. This is still looking good, and I'm just going to stencil on this leaf with the orange. It's called Pumpkin by Waverly. It's the same one that we have been using over and over. And this goes on super easy. Of course, no big deal. The font that I used, I will link below because I don't remember it offhand. I'll have to look back at my Cricut project. But yeah, you can make this on your own. You don't even need to stencil it. Just use some vinyl or some stickers. If you can't cut wood on your own, grab some tags from the Dollar Tree or Michael's or Hobby Lobby, wherever you can find them. Now for the other sides. These are going to be Halloween themed. So once again, intermittently, you can just switch these up for Halloween in between fall. Perfect. We're going to paint one side white and one side black. This one is just going to be a little bit simpler, but we are starting off with some more tape, but this time all we are doing is painting stripes. And we are going to paint black stripes. So we're kind of using the same method, starting out in the middle, using that spacer tape just to get our spacing right, and that's it. Easy peasy on this one. Get our black paint out and get those stripes put on, and that's gonna be really cute mixed with our other tag that is gonna go along with it. The other tag will be painted completely in black, and we're gonna add a stencil to this one. I am not gonna have you watch me read the entire thing. This does kind of take a bit. I discovered halfway in that this isn't as easy as I thought. Those R's, I don't know if you can tell, kind of weed, like they're supposed to be like a spider web. I didn't even get it all because it was just really, really teeny little pieces. I probably would have weeded better if I was using it as like a vinyl sticker, but anyhow, neither here nor there. Nevertheless, this is what we did, and it actually turns out so cute. So this is a design that I did find just for free on Cricut Design Space, but I did kind of manipulate it a bit and changed it up quite a bit. So if you find it on there, it won't look exactly like this one because I did contour and change things up to fit the sign that I was using, or the tag that I was using. Now, early on, I realized I had my husband cut these holes for me. However, they are like way too big. And I figured they were going to be way too big early on, but at that point, there wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. I didn't want to waste the wood and recut them, obviously. We're not wasting any wood around here. So what I did do is I cut out some kind of like washer type. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they look like, but I cut them out with my laser cutter. So these are also just MDF pieces. But I just made them look kind of like little washers, and it was kind of a happy accident because I do like how they look. Like it looks like it was intentional. So if I make these again, I probably still won't make that hole that big, but I would still use the washer element to it. But I did this to make the hole smaller. And I painted 2 in black, and then I painted 2 with the Waverly wax stain, and I'm using just the Sherbon thick super glue to apply those, kind of wiping around. I do have to sand off some of the glue that seeped over, and then I got this rope. What do they call this rope? Oh, I don't remember. It's the rope from the Dollar Tree. You'll know what it is. I'm just making a big knot and then feeding it through the other side, making another big knot, and that is how I'm going to have them hang. But I am going to put bows on them, and we'll show you just the really simple and quick bow that I do. I pull out just some kind of miscellaneous ribbon, and I'm going to just cut strips. So I'm not even really tying bows, I'm just kind of like scrunching them. And I am going to make two. They're going to be pretty similar. So some of them I'm not measuring, I'm just literally just eyeballing it. So I've got that burlap ribbon, and then I found, I didn't even have a roll of this. It was just kind of folded up in my ribbon. So I'm using this orange burlap. I think it's kind of a burlap type, and making that one a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to use some buffalo check ribbon and some striped ribbon, and I add in some thinner ribbon as well. And all of these ribbons came from either Hobby Lobby or the Dollar Tree. The thin ones for sure came from the Dollar Tree. I can't say, no, I mean, neither of them came from this year. No, that's not true. I did buy a new one this year, and it is this, you'll see it here. Yep, right there. I bought that this year, but my guess is it's there every year. I am not a Dollar Tree connoisseur like some people. I don't know what they have year in and year out. I don't shop there all that often, but when I do, I sure love it. So we're going to line these up. I'm slightly kind of like crisscrossing them, as you can see. And then I'm just going to bunch up the top, bunch up the bottom, and I'm using a wire tie to cinch it all together. Just a really teeny little white one. And you could use twine, you could use another piece of ribbon. You don't have to use wire ties. I just like them because you can really, really tighten them up really good. Now I'm going to cut the ends of all these ribbons. What do they call this? Oh, there's a name for it. Where are my words, y'all? But anyway, you get the idea. Fold the ribbon and then cut it at an angle. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Just bunching it up, using a wire tie to secure it. And then I think do they call it dovetailing? Maybe they do, because that just suddenly occurred to me. Maybe they call it a dovetailing, but I do that to all the ribbon, regardless. You cut it from an angle from the bottom up. So, and that just kind of makes the edges of your ribbon look nicer. And then I'm sliding another piece or another wire tie through, and then I am feeding it through the knot of that rope. So this can be removed, it can be changed. You are not stuck with this ribbon. Nothing is hot glued. Nothing is going to be, if you don't want it there, like when you're using the fall side, if you don't want the Halloween bow, you can remove it, reapply it. So simple and interchangeable. These might actually be my favorite DIY of this video. I absolutely love them. I think they are so cute and so fun. And I went and I hung them outside, and flip, it's Halloween, and flip, it's fall. I think these are just so cute and so beautiful. And they can go with any outdoor decor. You can hang them on your front door. You can even hang them inside. You can hang them anywhere. Now, this is our last project for this video. This is a Hobby Lobby find, a clearance find. I think it was $3.50. As much as I love this cute little hen, this cute little chicken, I gotta paint over her. because this sign is the right size that I need. And I am going to use an actual stencil. So just to show you, I got these from Amazon. Was it last year before maybe? And I've only used 1 or 2 of them. But anyways, they have a ton of them. A lot of them are really great for rounds, if you like to make rounds. And some just have plain leaves and apricot, or no, not apricots, acorns. But for this one, I am using this really cute square one. We are going to paint over this cute chicken in white. And y'all, I have chickens. I love chickens. But that one had to be painted over for this project. It did take probably 3 coats though. I did have to do, 3 coats. 3 good, like, solid coats. Now I'm going to tape this stencil on. So if you don't have a Cricut, these, I think I got all of these stencils probably for like maybe $11 or $12. So inexpensive. And I think the reason I didn't end up using them last year is they were bigger than I thought. So I needed like larger blocks of wood, and this sign actually was just the perfect size. I've had it for quite a while. And yeah, so I'm gonna paint. I use the orange, and I use black, gray, and I use that Apothecary in the DIY paint as well to kind of mix and match. And I did struggle a little bit with bleeding on this stencil. I don't know if it was because it wasn't my normal like stencil vinyl that I'm used to. Right here I'm blocking off the stem. I don't want to get orange on the stem. So if you're wondering what I'm doing with that tape, I am just blocking off. I wasn't able to get the whole pumpkin stenciled without messing that up. So anyway, but I don't know if it was because I wasn't using my normal stencil vinyl, or like I said, at this point my brushes were just fairly saturated and I didn't change them out. You really do want a fairly dry, stiff brush for stenciling, and these had kind of been soaked in paint all day. I just kind of kept them in a baggie and reused them over and over. So I don't think it was the best choice to be stenciling with these after that amount of use. But anyhow, it worked out. I did have to do some touch-ups again, and it wasn't because the wood was garbage. It was just too much paint. It just seeped under. But it actually turns out really, really beautiful. And this is a fairly thin piece of wood, so I couldn't actually frame it. So you'll see what I end up doing at the end so that it gives a faux look of being framed. It's super beautiful. I was surprised. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I was kind of like, I don't think I'm gonna like this, but I ended up absolutely loving it. Alright, so we are done. I'm kind of lifting it, and I noticed I missed a few spots on that black, just of those letters. So just when you pull up your stencil, just remove it slowly so you can put it back down. No big deal. And voila! Yes, it looks pretty good. But if you could see up closer, like, there are some spots. So I touched that up with a tiny little detail brush. I connect. So when you use a stencil like that, there's gaps in between the letters or the actual letter where they meet. So I kind of connected some of those. And here is how we are making our pretend little frame. I didn't record the whole thing. I thought I was recording, but at least I got some of it. I'm using the same tape, and I'm just taping off about 1/4 inch on every side. And I'm using that Waverly wax straight over the white paint. And it ends up just giving it the nicest touch. I also painted the stem of the pumpkin, which I didn't have on camera either. But I used just that same detail brush that I was using to touch everything up. I just kept wiping the stencil brush off. Not stencil brush, the detail brush. It's just a teeny tiny little, yep, there you go. So I did that with the stem. I just kind of hand drew that. I didn't put the stencil back on because at that point it was wet and I didn't want to mess anything up. But doesn't this look nice? I actually ended up loving it. I think it looks so classy. And there are a few of our beautiful items that we made. Our fun pumpkin farm, October 31, with our cute spider. I just love it. And my favorite, the door tags. I can't wait to decorate for Halloween and fall. Decorate our porch. I need to get my living room spruced up. Y'all, I had so much fun making these. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you received just a little bit of inspiration. Again, I want to thank the girls that hosted this What Would You Make collaboration, and I do appreciate them letting me join and be included. We will see you all very soon. Thanks so much, friends. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.